It's culturally significant. It has some fucking bangers on it. So it has all the ingredients to be like, whoa, one of the greatest albums ever. Until you listen to the album, it's not that great. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined, as always, by my, well, I'm really jealous of that shirt, co-host Alexander Volch. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. It's usually a new discography per episode, except in cases like this where we decide to take a little detour, do something a little bit different and themed. And it's almost, this one's basically a little bit of a reflection on our long time doing this show.
We're doing our 5 picks for the most overrated albums we've covered.
And we've covered a lot. We've covered hundreds of albums.
We could probably do a part 2 to this one.
Oh,
this
was very difficult for me to narrow down my top 5 because I have a lot. It took me a second.
I went with the first 5 that I thought of.
I listed all the ones that I felt strongly about and to really sit with which ones I thought were the most. Mm-hmm. And for a variety of reasons, we took this show episode title theme suggestion from our Patreon, or more accurately from our Discord. If you join the Patreon, you can be a part of the little Discord community, and they threw out a bunch of themes for us. There's things they'd like us to talk about. And one of them was our most overrated albums, or what we feel is the most overrated. And this is going to piss off anybody watching. Probably this is mostly for our people. If you find these humorous or you agree with them in some weird way, hang out with us. If you don't, you're free to talk in the comments. I don't care. I don't know who you are, and you mean nothing to my life. But I'm glad you're watching. Also, what I really mean by overrated, it's like I think out of my entire list, not a single album on my list I gave worst to in the respective episode. And most of them I think are actually good albums. It's just that they're so fucking overrated that I can't stomach it. I can't even bear it. Some of them I think I gave best to. It's just I can't bear how
I may have given some of these best in relation to what
else
the band was putting out, but I went for albums that, are usually included on top 200 albums of all time, albums you need to hear before you die. Yep. I think all my picks are
Beloved.
Yeah,
mine as well. Beloved. Yeah. But one thing that I know, it's not all of them, but it's most of them. The thing they have in common is when they came out, they weren't so popular, and then retroactively or retrospectively, perfect scores across the board. Almost every entry on my list has that. And that is what we like to call in the biz an overcorrection. Just because something wasn't appreciated to the way it should have been when it came out doesn't mean it's perfect and needs to be blown endlessly for the next 30 years. It's just insane. Just be honest here, right? What the hell is this album, and how good is it really?
Yeah,
according to our tastes.
Not really a surprise. Most of mine are soft rock and folk driven. You're
not a fan of the soft. You're a fan of soft, but you're not a fan of that kind of soft. You're not a fan of folk. The things on my list, I made it an effort to not pick things that I already know I dislike. There was some stuff where
I thought about maybe putting in that effort. I was like, I don't give a shit.
Because there's so many words that's super overrated and I hate it, but it's not as overrated as this other thing that I kind of like.
Oh man,
take it because I appreciate the art for what it is across the board, things that people hate and things that people like. I've been a part of the masses and the mob where I'm like, The Laws, that album by The Laws is fucking incredible. I think it's perfect. I fucking love it. And I'm also the guy who says, go fuck yourself. Fucking System of a Down isn't that great. Although I do like them. I don't think they're the fucking greatest thing ever.
I think that's anyone who listens to a lot of music. Like, again, going back to these like lists that are like, essential albums you should hear before. There is no way any person agrees with every single.
No, and nor should you, because art is subjective. And if we all agreed, life would be shitty and boring. So please, I don't care if you don't agree with this. That's the point. That's why, man, how much shittier of a show would we have here if we just regurgitated the fucking, I mean, good Lord. That's why we just covered God last week, which no one in the world has heard of and no one in the world wants to hear. It's great though. Listen to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have our 5 picks. You might as well start counting down. You got them ranked, baby?
Yeah,
I can see you put some real thought into this.
Actually, yeah, I do. Are we? We're going from like least offensive to most offensive.
Yeah. And why don't you kick it off?
Yeah. Okay. Let's kick it off with something that'll piss off Mike. Captain Beefheart's Trout mask replica.
You're out of your fucking mind. Came out 1969, episode 10, Captain Beefheart. The first episode that we had my brother on.
Look,
brilliant album.
I like noisy, weird stuff.
So brilliant. You're out of your fucking mind.
And for years, I keep thinking one day this album will make sense to me. It's never gonna. I've given up. I've given up.
So many great songs on it.
Trying to accept this album. To me, it's a fucking mess. Not in a good way.
Oh my God, you're out of your mind.
I don't give a fuck. Which is why we're doing this.
Oh my God. I knew we would fight on this episode, but holy shit. You're starting it out with Beefheart? How dare you?
In a way, that's the least. He's not number one. He's not number
I guess he's not number one.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is, considered this avant-garde masterpiece.
Yes.
Very much like Mike was saying.
I don't think it's his best album, though.
Where it's like retroactively, viewed as this big thing. And to me, I think he has more interesting songs.
I think he has better albums. Like on that episode, you gave it worst, and my brother gave it best because he's the one who introduced me to Beefheart when I was a kid. I bonded with my weird boomer teachers with Beefheart when I was a child because I was exposed to all this crazy music. It was a big important part of my life, and going back to it, it's like it's fucking wild. It's not for most people.
Mm-hmm.
It, literally, each member is like playing a different song at the same time with each other.
Yes,
on multiple occasions on that album. But some of the songs are just sheer brilliance. But I still don't think it's their best. I think I gave Bad Chain Puller best, it was shelved and then it was re-released years later, which I think that's an incredible album.
There you go. I don't even feel like that pick's that bad then.
It's pretty bad. It's a great album. It's so good though.
It is beloved, and I don't fucking get it, and I'll never get it. And so that's why it's number 5. I've given up trying to enjoy this album.
Fair enough, I guess. Oh, there's something about that album that does give me warm feelings when as soon as I hear like the opening of Frownline, I'm like, here it is. I'm in for a nice little blanket of nostalgia.
And like, I don't know, I'm open to like Ornette Coleman or some wackier free jazz things, but this something about that album is not right to me. And
it's for sure an inbred cousin of an album.
Yeah,
it has that feel about it.
It's fucking beloved. It's one of the most iconic album covers of all time. You will see it on all the lists ever. So
that's an interesting one too, because it is, looked at as this very legendary album, but how many of these people actually enjoy this album is a good question, because it is very hard to enjoy.
There's a lot of hype these days.
A lot of hype, and that's also a problem. But like, I was exposed at an early enough age where I was just absorbing a bunch of weird music anyway. So it's just another weird thing. It didn't feel that much weirder because I was already into Zapp when I was like 7 years old. So Beefheart at 11 wasn't that bad. Even Trout Mask Replica Beefheart. So I can't really judge it fairly of like, well, what does a normal person think about this? What does a person who likes pleasant music think? And according to you, overrated and stinks.
That's the thing. I like abrasive, noisy,
It's
weird.
not, but the thing is, it's not noisy.
Well,
Not really. It's
but
just
I'm saying I'm kind of the target audience for it in a way.
yeah. There is.
The
We'll give you
things
that.
I listen to.
I suppose so.
So
But you're not a big Zappa guy either, though, are you?
I have not given him the proper time of day. I like 3 albums, and the rest is just an anomaly.
You talking Zappa solo or Mother's Invention?
Solo.
Okay, yeah. Zappa solo is far more kooky and goofy.
Yeah.
Mother's Invention is goofy, but I think you'll like that a lot more than Beefheart.
Yeah, those are. I almost feel like a hypocrite being like, these aren't songs, especially coming off the God episode.
Yeah.
Where that is very deranged and has the free jazz influences. But
well, the
Zappa stuff, I'm like, yeah, those are songs at least.
These are songs. In your wild and unfounded defense, which I will come to right now.
Yeah.
The way these songs were composed was absolute dog shit. It was absolute horror. It was Beefheart literally hammering away at a piano, an instrument he didn't play, and then drummer John French decoding the recordings of this madman and turning them into songs. So it's really John French's album.
Yeah.
The drummer.
Yes.
Which is insane and really impressive. But it's like, yeah, even the conception of it was insanely mentally ill, and it shouldn't be. And that's why it sounds like multiple people playing different songs at once, because they were.
They were, yes.
And
I know musicians hang their hat if it's almost become like an orchestra thing for like avant-garde musicians just musicians in general. I think if they can like replicate these songs live,
because it's not just the technical ability of playing the difficult stuff. A lot of because I've been playing music for, longer than I've been reading. So the things that become really difficult once you're like a seasoned musician, it's not how tough this arpeggio is or whatever. It's how well can I keep in time this thing while there's madness around me? Like playing in time with something that is not the same time as you. Very, very, very tough, because you're not playing it like music. You're playing it like an equation. It's way tougher. So I could see how that's how this album is looked at.
Yeah.
But even despite that, because there's like 27 songs in the album or something like that.
It's like a double album.
There are so many that are legitimately, you can't question. That is a great song. Ella Guru, great song. Sugar and Spikes, great song.
I can and will, and I did.
No, you're out of your fucking mind. Because I remember even on that episode, you're like, there's a lot of great riffs on this thing.
Yeah.
Those songs, those were like, there's like a chunk of songs where they are playing the same thing. They're not going ape shit with, against each other. And those ones are undeniable, Alex.
I'm denying them, but I still rather listen to this than 4 other albums. So,
all right. So Alex is, oh boy, my number 5.
Yeah.
5th most overrated album that we've covered, License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. Now, I hate this album. This is one of the few albums. I don't love all the albums on this list, clearly.
To the point where you thought that's all the Beastie Boys were before we did the podcast.
Well, no. I was a big fan of Paul's Boutique way before for years. But the reason I don't like that album, for one, it is the songs on that album are the ones everyone goes to. If everyone thinks of the Beastie Boys, they think of Pfeiffer, you're right. They think of Girls,
Monkey.
They think of all these stupid, dorky, hokey, ridiculous songs that were, as confirmed by Rick Rubin himself, jokes. They were jokes.
Yeah.
It's a fun album. It's a funny album. It's like, it's goofy. These guys are just fucking around. They're just doing whatever they thought was funny. That's neat. But the Beastie Boys fucking rule.
Yeah.
Paul's Boutique is a fucking hip hop masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, my favorite album was, I forgot the name of my fucking favorite album. Ill Communication.
Yes.
I don't remember if I like that one more than Check Your Head. Both of those I think are as good as each other.
Yeah. They are kind of a 1-2 punch. They complement each other well.
Very much the same style. You could tell they were all writing that type of song around that 2 year period. Whereas, you know, the stuff afterward and before that, very different stuff. But even the stuff later on, I don't love the last thing they did. Was it Hot Sauce Committee Part 2? I don't love that so much. But everything else, even if I don't love the album, I still like a whole bunch of it. Like Hello Nasty has a bunch of shit that I don't like, but a lot of stuff that I did quite like. License to Ill sounds like none of it. It has nothing that they were good at. It's just a bunch of dorky, stupid party songs. And that is what everyone goes to. That is what everyone thinks of. And honestly,
I don't know. I mean, they're huge.
There's the Galactic fucking Intergalactic. That's also a big song for sure. But why are the songs on it still so popular? They stink. Fucking Girls stinks.
I'm going to say, you know, as a fan, also because Mike doesn't really love 80s hip hop, but
what are you kidding? I love 80s hip hop. That's like,
I feel like you're more likely to hate like the boom, like the earlier like boom bap,
early 90s
Eric
shit. Yeah.
Eric B, Boogie Down Productions. They're more like,
I'm not a big fan of Boogie Down, but
yeah, but
I did I like early hip hop and then early to mid 90s. Like that's all the shit that I'm in love with.
Yeah, I think, as you know, it's a part of hip hop history because
for sure
Def Jam is so revered, or classic Def Jam is. Yeah. I don't know what they do these days. And then, like, you know, the BC Boys became one of the like most eclectic hip hop acts around. So it's just like this wrinkle in this like discography they have, where it's like you have this crazy thing that they did. I always get, is it the Dust Brothers or who did? The Dust Brothers. So you have this thing of them being like frat punk rock guys, then doing this like crazy soundscape with the Dust Brothers,
basically mastering samples in one album,
and then like kind of becoming like an alternative rock band a little bit. Still
heavy on the hip hop, but there was. And this thing, when they dabbled in the more rock stuff, none of it felt that contrived or goofy. Whereas, if you're right, I legitimately loathe that song. It's just it's so fucking stupid.
I don't hate that album, but like, I don't know. I think there's like neat samples on there. It probably wasn't the first album to sample Led Zeppelin's When the Levee Breaks, but it was like the first album I noticed. So yeah, I'm a fan of the like Rick Rubin production. I mean, I'm not even like, it is like not even close. It's their most juvenile, stupid album.
So that's ultimately what like, again, I don't like the album. I hate the album. That's not why I think it's overrated. It's because Paul's Boutique, the people who know. And there's a lot of people who know. There's a lot of people who know. But everyone else thinks of this. They think of License to Ill.
I think
this is and I think it's because it was such an important album. It did really jumpstart hip hop. And because it was historically important, they go back to this as being the one. When really it's one of the worst. It's not their worst album. But I do think it's a terrible album.
I think it's a fine album if you're a hip hop head and you know you like your history, and you know the shit's played out for sure. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, if you want hip hop history, Run DMC has where it's at, dude. I mean, I'm not even just like them. Almost everyone else.
You didn't like the first few Run DMC.
I like the first Run DMC album. I didn't like the second one so much.
Okay.
Because again, it's bringing in the really dorky rock elements. Thanks, Rick Rubin. Although, thank you, Rick Rubin, for everything else. I guess I'm just not a big fan of Rick Rubin's blending of rock and hip hop, even though it was so important to making hip hop important.
Yeah, to me, it's
redundant.
a thing of the time. I I dig it.
Breaking news, you hairy bearded fucks. Manscaped is now selling beard products. That's right, they're once again revolutionizing men's grooming with a brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. So now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code EAE for 20% off and free shipping. As you can tell just by looking at me, I'm a man with a beard. I'm a man who has a beard, who trims his beard daily. I put a lot of time and energy into shaping and maintaining my beard. All right. And the reason I'm able to do it so efficiently is because of Manscaped's beautiful, wonderful, and handy products. Listen, dudes, it's time to tame your mane. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to all your stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. That's right, face grooming doesn't need to be hard to get 20 different beard lengths in just one guard. That is wildly convenient. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower to avoid all that hair in the sink. The titanium-coated T-blade is tough on hair, but smooth on your face, leading to single-stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. Now, come on, you got more than that. The Pro Kit doesn't end there, though. They have created 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care. First is the beard shampoo and conditioner, because all your hair is different, all right? Your beard hair is more coarse. It's easier to damage than the hair on your head. That's why the kit has made shampoo and conditioner specially designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, and replace natural oils and promote beard health. Listen, motherfuckers, maybe I can't grow a beard, okay? But I still get the damn ingrown hairs on my neck, okay? If you want to avoid that embarrassing, disgusting mess, then fuck what's in Manscaped, all right? Next, the kit has Manscaped's beard oil, an essential piece for your main facial accessory. No one wants a guy whose beard is brittle and dry. The oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath, while adding a little shimmer and shine to make you look extra fine. Good God almighty. Cap off the kit with the beard balm, a pomade that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look to attract any fellows or dames. The Pro Beard Kit also comes with 3 free gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code EAE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code EAE. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Get your fucking face right, fellas, all right? Okay, let's get back into it. Well, what you got next?
Next up, I was going to look it up, but I don't have to look it up. It's the New York Dolls self-titled.
I knew it. Oh, by the way, the Beastie Boys was episode 34 if you want to check out the full thing. New York Dolls.
New York Dolls self-titled.
Episode 74.
I kind of get it. You had like the Stooges, but there really wasn't punk.
Punk wasn't the thing yet. The Stooges was the closest thing at that point, unless you count Death, who, I mean, it doesn't count because no one knew about no one gave them a chance.
So I kind of get it, but I think the genre and everyone has like outgrown that album to where if you want glam rock stuff, it's like Bowie and T-Rex do it better. Like, do you know the like pop punk thing? Like the Ramones do it better, and I know they weren't around then, so I get that. But
everyone took the template of New York Dolls and ran with it into much better directions.
Yes, and that's my issue with this album is everyone has done it better, and it truly feels like a relic to me. It
definitely is, and this is one that I agree with. It was almost on my list, but I didn't at the last second.
I went for all the low hanging fruit.
This one, I don't like New York Dolls. It was one of my biggest letdowns because it's a band that I always wanted to check out. Everything I love is influenced by it. It's such a historically important thing. Mm-hmm. Cool band. I like Johnny Thunder's solo stuff. There's no reason I wouldn't like this, and it was just boring rock and roll.
It did give us the pronunciation of Vietnamese.
Vietnamese, baby.
So I'm thankful for that.
I will never forget that song ever in the world.
About that pronunciation all the fucking
pronunciation.
Time. Oh, sorry. And now I'm
a little Vietnamese baby over here.
Yeah, now I'm off. Yeah. So outside of that funny thing, it's just I don't like it. It's boring. Even for like generic 4/4 rock and roll, it's fucking boring.
It is fairly underwhelming, and of course, if this is one that people really, and another album that retroactively just perfect, 5 stars, 10 stars, or 10 out of 10
again, all the lists. If you're a music nerd, you've seen the album cover,
and really like so that was episode 74. Episode 73 was the Germs. Go for the Germs, and tell me it's not way better, even though Darby Crash was. Literally unconscious on the microphone.
And that's an example of where I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite, where I'm like, Beefheart's too sloppy, and I'm like, this isn't sloppy enough.
Beefheart was tight. It was just a bunch of people playing the wrong things.
But like the Germs, that's like that good seedy kind of sloppy level of punk rock I can get behind.
Yeah, and of course those are two very different bands, of course, and Germs came out way later, but like it's not that different of a stretch. Like New York Dolls is definitely more rock and roll than it is punk, because punk didn't really exist yet. And of course they were important, but god damn, like a lot of things that were influential can hold up.
Like Kraftwerk.
Like Kraftwerk in a weird way. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like you compare like Kraftwerk to like what EDM is now, and it's like, it looks so simple compared to these like cacophony of EDM noise.
It's a very different thing, but it's still, it stands on its own. If you like rock and roll, I'm sure you'll love it just fine. But I mean, I'm already partial to not liking rock and roll. So I was basically destined to not like New York Dolls.
I just defended Rick Rubin's brand of hip hop rock and roll. So,
oh man,
again, like I'm kind of the target audience for something like that, and it just
didn't
underwhelming.
Stinks.
No good.
It's fine. I'm never going to go back to it. That's for damn sure.
Same. Although I went back to 2 albums on this. I was going to listen to all 5 of my picks.
Oh, really?
I did 2 and I was like, no.
I didn't need to. I wasn't about to.
There you go.
My number 4th most overrated album that we've covered, and it's an album that I quite like, that we've just covered. Marquee Moon by Television.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, and I gave it
so fresh in my head.
I gave it best personal favorite. Obviously, it's their best album. It's a great album. It's a very good
songwriting. Sounds bad though, right?
Nope. It's that
mixed poorly.
The mixing it's just like it could have been mixed better. And like we talked about on the episode, they had the guy who engineered for Led Zeppelin, or like his assistant rather, and they had John Bonham's drum sound. And Verlaine was like, let's make it sound weak and tiny. I want it to sound as shitty as possible.
Yeah.
But I listen to all kinds of shitty production. And it sounds like any other kind of punk album from that era, even though they're technically not really punk. I don't mind it. It's the fact that it is considered this masterpiece when really half of the album is average. Half of it is incredible. The big songs, the big epic songs. Obviously, the title track, fucking Torn Curtain, they're incredible. The songs in between, fucking Snoozeville, dude. What's that fucking Stand By Me song?
I'm a noob here, but and it was only a few weeks ago, but being a newbie to Marquee Moon, I thought it delivered, although I felt your criticisms of the album were fair.
The song Prove It is the one that's just like, this is just a boring Stand By Me knockoff. And it's none of the songs are bad. It's just like, this is not a masterpiece. This is not perfect. This is, I mean, across the board, both retrospectively and at the time it came out, pretty much perfect scores across the board. It's a good album. How the hell, like there's, what? Dude, I mean, Jesus Christ, the opener, See No Evil, is one of the weakest openers.
To me, I don't know. I think the good outweighs whatever.
No, it does. It's a good album. The good outweigh. It's not even close to a bad album, but to call it a masterpiece, perfect, one of the greatest albums ever, that's insane to me. It's just so overrated.
I just like, what do you like? I know we live in the year 2022, and I just threw the New York Dolls under the bus for sounding like crap in 22. But like, what do you compare this to in like 1977?
I always just end up going to more punk. Like I end up going to Wire for some reason, even though Wire sounds nothing like this.
Yeah.
But that's, and I made the comparison on the television episode. What episode was that, by the way? I already forgot. That was episode 154. That when I hear an album like Pink Flag, where it's just beginning to end consistent, and there's not even any real dips in that album. It's just high level, beginning to end, and it's over quickly.
Yeah.
And it has all the praise that it should. It's a very well regarded album, but then you get this, which is like the same era.
Yeah.
It's not the same type. It's still punk, but it's not the same kind of punk. It's a different type of band, of course. You know, television has really long songs. Wire has very not long songs, but the pacing issues with it just what I felt, and I still feel, is that you're just waiting for the big songs. You're waiting for the big epic songs because those are obviously great, but in between you get these flyover state songs, and it's just like, yeah, it's fine, but like I'm not going to remember Friction, like or Guiding Light at all. I mean, Guiding Light I think actually stinks, but for the most part, it's like it's cool, but there are perfect albums out there. This ain't it, baby. Not for me.
I can't say, maybe one day I'll feel that way about this album, but not today.
Not today. Anyway, what you got?
Now I'm like in it a little bit.
Pissing on people's sacred cows a little bit.
I mean, started off hot, and if I'm being honest with myself, I want to give these guys number one. But honestly, Simon and Garfunkel's Bookends. Look.
The album does stink. I will give you that.
It's one of my.
You gave it best, you jackass.
I did, yeah.
The album sucks.
And that's why it's fucking overrated, even in my
episode 8. It's one of our most beloved episodes before we had video, though, audio only.
They have some, very much like you were talking about, they have some big songs on Bookends. But yeah, there's so much garbage on there. Like my favorite thing about Bookends is that the Bangles covered Hazy Shade of Winter. That's my favorite thing.
Your favorite thing is that a different band covered one of the songs.
That's my favorite thing about the album. And yeah, it's just one of the most annoying tracks. At the Zoo. I fucking hate it. I hate how they have these like.
I don't actually like that song.
Man, this is one of the ones I like re-listen to, and I like genuinely hate the potential a song like "Save the Children." Is it "Save the Children"?
Oh, there was some pretty.
"Save the Life of My Child" is like, it's like distorted and funky, and then they just go into the Simon and Garfunkel garbage.
They are who they are.
They are who they are.
So that was like your least favorite episode that we've covered. Like,
I mean, it's aged well. It's an entertaining episode, but in term,
it's up there.
Yeah, it's one of my most like hated, overrated bands. So, I wanted to give them number one, but I think I hate the other two albums more. I guess America's okay.
I do prefer the Yes cover of it.
The Yes cover's insane.
I like Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, Bridge Over Troubled Water, I think, is a phenomenal record, and obviously what I gave best personal favorite to. But I didn't even mind the stuff that you absolutely and rightfully so, the world hated. Like their first album, Wednesday morning, 3 a.m., was just these fucking Ned Flanders sing along Christian songs. So I'm like, it's kind of
cute. But that album's not beloved the way this one.
It is not beloved.
And I think retroactively that I've like stewed with this, that like Bridge probably is the.
It is, 100%. It's no question. That is it. It's a fantastic album. Sure, there's stolen shit on it because Paul Simon's a fuckhead.
But the writing is more diverse.
Way more diverse. just the only really great album they have. And I did like what's the stupid fucking name of it? Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme.
Oh man,
I like that one as well. I like their cover of Scarborough Affair, even though I don't even really like that song to begin with.
Serial killer music.
Damn right. But overall, it's a band that two guys. How long it's supposed to be calling them a band? I don't mind them. I definitely. I think Bookends I gave worst. I'm pretty sure I gave Bookends worst. I always hated that album.
I mean, that's the one that makes the list, though. Well,
For
that
some
one
reason-
and Bridge Over, those are like the two big ones.
I don't know how Bookends. Like, I mean, aside from the America and
they got the fucking hits on this one.
again, another thing where like, you overlook the shit in between because it has a couple great songs.
It has fucking Mrs. Robinson on it.
Yeah, it's a fun song.
Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Not a bad pick though.
So yeah, you would think for how livid I was, but now I'm used to hearing garbage. And number three. Well, my number three is and part of me wants to put this higher, but I know considering my final two picks, it can't. That's kind of funny how we had similar feelings about three.
It would be higher, but it cannot. It is up against Juggernauts for the top two. And this album is In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel.
Mike, you son of a bitch.
That's one of yours.
That's my number one.
That's your number one. Oh shit.
That is my number one most offensive, most overrated.
That is the one you gave best, but you gave best least favorite to, right?
Yeah.
I gave it just straight least favorite because I actually do think they have a worse album than that. But
I mean, to me, it is the most overrated album ever.
It's one of obviously it's in the running for sure. Episode 43. We talk all about it. My God, that album. I really genuinely like On Avery Island, Neutral Milk Hotel's first album. I genuinely like that album. And then this one is the most infuriating, cringy, pretentious, annoying, whiny fucking folk rock albums out there.
The way people talk about this album like it is this like alt rock masterpiece, that it's whimsical, that it's melancholy, that it does all these things, when really I think it's juvenile as fuck and not in an endearing way. And like, I think it helped usher in some like truly awful sounding albums. I fucking can't stand like this purposefully like lo-fi rock and roll. It's like one of my least favorite rock and roll genres.
It's a frustrating album to me because from the onset, like I will admit, it has like I don't hate it as much as a lot of albums, because it has moments that are genuinely pretty that I think, that's a nice melody there, and this is a moving passage there. But from the onset, you hit play and you just feel how seriously this guy is taking this album, and it's
I still stand by my opinion that if an adult person told you like, it sounds very like, I wish I could go back in time and save Anne Frank. Like, that's what you're doing with your time machine? Where's your guardian? You learned about this recently?
It feels like a high school project. I mean, it definitely feels lyrically or thematically, it feels like a high school project. And and also the fans of Neutral Milk Hotel are pretty insufferable, and they're really die hard. And there's a lot. Okay, I don't like folk rock in general, or like really dramatic, emotional folk stuff. I know it really resonates with a lot of people. It's fine. It's not for me, and it makes me itch in a way that it's hard to pinpoint. It's just like, it just gives me a resounding ugh. Like ugh. You're just take a step out of yourself for a second and look how fucking blowhardy this is.
Yes, yes.
And again, I would forgive all of that if I enjoyed the music at all, but it's just whiny. There's some good stuff for sure, definitely.
Lots of semen on this album.
Lots of seemly. That's a seemly. That's a
Oh, comely.
Oh, comely. That's a semen. Oh, comely. And that's my next point. You put a song like Oh, comely, largely about semen. Weirdly, that's 8 fucking minutes. I mean, 8 minutes of. We're not shy around lengthy. So last episode we did was God, and they have 18-minute songs that we enjoyed. Length. I have no problem with length, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's what are you doing with the length?
Not
are
much.
you playing the same fucking riff and then ranting over it for 8 straight minutes? I'm and especially if it's all fucking annoying. God damn, I hate it.
This is the audio version of like the worst. Like this is a different podcast. Whatever you think the worst Wes Anderson movie is to you, that's what this. Wes Anderson has some good stuff.
I like Wes Anderson.
His worst stuff, though, grinds my gears.
I get what you're saying. It's the Wes Anderson style is admittedly a really blowhardy, annoying style.
But you can do it well.
Not only can he do it well, I think he has some of the most beautiful movies, like in terms of the way it's shot.
Sure.
Every frame of this guy's movies is a piece of art. Gorgeous looking movies. But you take away all of that, and you look at like the quirkiness, and you take away all the actual artistic value of it.
It's fucking annoying.
It's annoying quirkiness, even though I do like his movies.
That's what this. You know what?
Yeah, this album is like a bad Wes Anderson movie.
This is the French Dispatch of albums. Come at me, bro.
They will. I mean, we're shitting on a bunch of
fuck that movie.
Iconic albums.
Fuck this album. It is. I jumped the gun because it's Mike's 3, but it's my number 1 with a bullet. Like it's not even close. How much this album upsets me.
Yeah. And we're just talking about how much we hate the album. Sure, I hate it, and it's annoying for all these reasons. But it has inspired a whole genre that we happen to not like. That's fine. You can have your genre. You can find this to be important to that thing. Just because we don't like it doesn't mean shit. The reason why this is on my list as being overrated is because On Avery Island exists. It is better done. It's a more cohesive album that feels more like a concept album. The way they integrate, like the way he uses motifs is way more tastefully done on the album. The songs are just hookier and more diverse. They're way less whiny and they don't drag on. It's a better album top to bottom. And no one gives a fuck about that album. It's all this one.
Mike has a more fair take. I'm coming from pure emotion.
Pure rage.
Pure rage.
Pure hate.
I didn't even when we knew we were going to record this, I knew immediately this was number 1 and I didn't have to really think about it.
So that's funny because my number 1 and my number 2, they are not right now. It's that order, but they can be swapped out any day. That's how they are neck and neck.
Yeah.
But this is my number 3 and Alex's number 1.
Yes.
But what is your number 2?
Number 2 is reserved for sorry, I get his albums mixed up. Is reserved for Elliott Smith.
I had a feeling.
Either or.
That's what I gave best. I think it's a great album.
I don't like it. I don't really care for his albums. Not nearly as annoying as Neutral Milk Hotel.
No, episode 48, by the way.
But goddamn, this is a beloved album that this doesn't do anything for me.
Oh man. Oh, I think it's pretty good. I think it's a good album.
I put it on to try to be like, maybe I'm wrong, and I could have had anything on.
Just Snoozeville, just asleep.
Just Snoozeville. It's fucking. If this shit wasn't on Goodwill Hunting, no one would give a shit.
Not true. It is a good album. It is a good album, and I quite like it. And the reason I like it more is because we did that episode. Because his first album, Roman Candle, is legit great. It is a legit great album with incredibly written songs. It was both of our personal favorites. And the only problem with it is it's just really rough. Like it wasn't, I think they just he recorded it by himself and they just put it out when those songs deserved a proper recording. Like, and they have other problems, but it was a great album. So Either or is that same kind of style of writing, but now he has more budget. There's more instruments. There's like, even though there's a lot of there's a full band on most of it, it's not utilized like traditionally. There's like still a lot of like the drums feel weirdly minimal, and some songs just don't have like a bass section, and it feels more alty. And I don't mean that like alternative. I mean just mean like unusual for this kind of acoustic lo-fi thing. It just felt unique for that.
I don't like folk music. I don't like lo-fi. You put them together, you're gonna end up number 1 and 2 on my list.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up Elliott Smith, because it's my biggest regret of the show. Possibly, we never talked about his death on the episode.
Damn,
that is arguably the most interesting thing about the guy is how he died.
We were growing still.
And it was also during our Skype days.
Yes. Like
so
hazy for anyone.
So he dies by stabbing, and no one knows how or why or what, or maybe he did it. Maybe it was his girl.
I thought we did.
No. Because I remember I was on a stream months and months, maybe even a year later, and someone brought up how he died. I was like, huh? I was like, what the fuck? He got stabbed? And then I was like, I don't think we talked about that. I would have remembered him getting stabbed.
Whoops.
But yeah, this was, you didn't have a good time with this episode.
No. Like if I had done it earlier, I may have had like the passion and the fire that I came at Simon and Garfunkel with. Yeah. But being locked inside and listening to this,
it is pretty depressing music too. It's at least the first handful of his albums, like the first 3, and this is the 3rd.
But give me a Nick Drake or Jeff Buckley instead.
And Nick Drake is far more depressing than Jeff Buckley, even though both are tragic stories.
I finally got around to watching because I purchased it because it was so cheap, and I didn't watch it to have some levity in this. The Live in Chicago DVD that he has, fucking
and I haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen parts of it.
Phenomenal,
dude.
So good.
The fact that he was that good live is almost enraging.
I couldn't believe. Yeah.
Can't believe it. It's insane how good he is. Check out that episode. What episode was fucking Jeff Buckley? That was episode 72.
But yeah, Jeff Buckley and Nick Drake as forms of. I feel like I'm stretching with Buckley calling him folk music, but
yeah,
he's more like tortured, or
it was like alt rock
singer songwriter type deal.
It felt more alt rock than even singer songwriter, just because he had such a big band with him, and it was so dynamic. But and then episode 35 was Nick Drake, which is another really, really fun one. Elliott Smith, it's just every girl in high school, this was their favorite guy.
Also, he has, I don't remember if it was released posthumously.
Was it what the hell was it called?
He took a picture at I think it's off of Sunset, and it's like famous. I don't think it's there anymore. Mm-hmm. Figure 8. He took that photo in front of this building near Hollywood, and yeah, it's like everyone calls it the Elliott Smith building, but that's not even like the elbow.
Oh shit!
People really talk about.
No, yeah. I barely remember that album. I think his last two albums were posthumous, but
there you go.
Yeah, I think I liked him. Yeah, EXO was rough. That was like the first step into Genericsville, and then Figure 8 was better, but not by much.
I was like, it's either or it's EXO.
EXO, I think is a no question worse album.
No, either or is the more like acclaimed one
for sure.
So that's why it gets overrated over EXO.
Well, it's a fine pick. I don't agree with it, but it's a fine pick. I do think it's I don't know if it's maybe, I do think it is overrated. I don't think it's wildly overrated. I just think it is a bit overrated.
You're fine. You're fine.
I do like the album. But now I got 2 left. Number 2 and number 1 can be interchanged, but number 2, bring on the hate, folks. Come at me. Don't give a fuck. The Velvet Underground and Nico. Fuck the Velvet Underground. And their stupid, dirty beatnik asses. I'm so tired of the Velvet Underground.
Is it weird that I like that album, but I'm not going to defend it?
So it's another thing where it's a fine album.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a terrible album at all. It's one of their better albums. I don't think it's the best album. I like self-titled quite a bit.
And there you go.
But the way people gush about this thing, it's insane. I mean, this
it will be on everything. List ever.
This is considered one of the greatest albums of all time.
All time, even.
And it's just so insane to me. And this is an album that I was exposed to at an early age, never in its like full form. Mm-hmm. Full episode of Velvet Underground is episode 17, by the way.
Bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces. Obviously, you hear Venus and Furs, and it's like, okay, this is fucking amazing. Show me more. And then you hear like, Heroin. Like, oh, and Waiting for the Man. It's not that. It's kind of silly, but it's not bad. But as a whole, it's just a bunch of kind of average songs played by non-musicians. And Lou Reed is a great writer. He's a fantastic writer. Never loved his voice. I don't hate his voice, but I'm not a big Lou Reed guy. I just don't fucking get it. Like, there's other stuff of them that I do like. I don't think I still think the band as a whole is overrated, but the stuff that I hear from them, like, this is actually fucking solid. I get it. This, Ultimo's Parties is beloved.
Yeah.
So boring. So goddamn boring.
I like it.
It's just
Black Angel's Death Song. I like it too. And
I can't stand it. And it's not even that bad. It's just average songs performed by people who can't play. And of course I'm excluding all the lyrics and all this because the good writers overall.
Shout out to my boy John Cale.
Fucking don't care for John Cale so much. I don't love John Cale.
Name on an album, I'm like, let me listen to that.
Like, I don't even have that good of an argument because this is like I think we've gotten the most shit for that episode than almost any other. It's like that one in Cocteau Twins,
which is weird because I feel like we came out fans.
I like Cocteau Twins. I
think that's a misunderstood episode.
Was it Liz Fraser?
Yes,
she is up there with one of my favorite singers of all time because of that episode. And people still like, not good enough. Fuck you. It's just like, all right, well, okay then, cool.
That's crazy. That's one of my man, I would never I maybe would have got around to it, but man, that's like one of those instances where I'm like, man, I'm happy we do this podcast.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I still felt that some of the stuff was a little overrated.
I mean, it's
not as much as this one though.
It's a big discography. It was big. We tackled the EPs. So.
Yeah, I dated a girl who was a huge Cocteau Twins fan, and she saw that I had that episode, and I was like, oh, well, I guess it's over.
Yeah.
She listened to it. She's like, I thought we were gonna have a problem. But you redeemed it in the episode. I'm like, oh,
nice.
Okay.
She got it.
Yeah, well, she's fucking dead to me now. Well, she's not dead to me. She's just somewhere else. Good for her. But this episode, Velvet Underground and I'm by extension, this album, it's like, it's one of the ones that I fully expected to be a fan of. Because like I said, I was exposed to it, a little bit of it as a youngin'. And I went to it as a young adult. And I was like, this is kind of boring and not very consistent, and it has a few good songs, but overall, like, what's the big fucking whoop?
Mm-hmm.
Sat on it for some years, just like maybe I was in a funk, maybe I was in a phase, maybe I was just not receptive, even though I felt like I was in the mood for some Velvet Underground at the time. Go back to it years later with the podcast. Nope.
This is your Trout mask Replica.
This is the world overcorrecting. And I'm pretty sure this was like shunned when it came out.
Well,
everyone just called.
Yeah. But definitely with time, it's become.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. And I will never give it more than that. It's fine. God damn. I'll listen to it again. I don't even have a huge problem with it.
It's not offensive music to you.
But fuck you if you call this a masterpiece. All right. I guess I have to go twice in a row.
Yeah, because
Nutrimilk Hotel is your number one.
Yep.
And again, this can also be number 2 or number 1. Today, it's number 1. You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to die. From this episode, someone's going to hunt me down.
I mean, probably both of us, right?
I think me more. Not only
you more.
Not only because of this one, but because of my number one.
I went after. Well, oh yeah. We got Neutral Milk Hotel fans, and I don't know what Elliott Smith fans are like.
They're probably crying somewhere. It's fine. Number one, and reason why I'm nervous, Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, okay.
Now, I find that I think right now the most overrated album of all time.
Damn.
Holy shit! I love this era of hip hop.
Yeah.
I love this style of hip hop. I love the brutality. I love the intensity, the anger. It's my favorite fucking kind of hip hop. And this album is boring as shit. Aside from a few bangers.
I enjoy the album. It's chock full of songs though.
It is insanely long.
Despite living in LA most of my life, minus 4 years. West Coast hip hop is a hard sell for me. I've always enjoyed the East Coast stuff more. Not that it's like a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's not so much after the big hitters are dead.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I think this is I think it's a great album, especially because things on the West Coast are so like dire. But yeah, it doesn't hit the way other things do of the era.
The reason I feel it's so overrated. By the way, episode 13 was before we had it was our last audio only episode.
Oh shit! There we go.
I find this one to be so overrated because the same reason most of my picks are people remember it for a thing, not for what it was.
They remember entirety of it.
They remember it for XYZ. They remember it for the impact that it made. They remember it because of the title track or Fuck the Police. They remember it because of the movie like it made it. They remember it because of all the careers of all the members. They don't remember it for the album that it is. The album that it is has songs like Dope Man.
I like to.
Oh no! What was it? Quiet on the Set.
Oh yeah.
Was it the fucking?
It's not a good close. It's not a good close.
Hilarious, silly, stupid, bright keyboards all over it.
Like, that's kind of like Dr. Dre's thing.
Fucking goofy and it stinks.
Yeah.
It's hilarious and way too long of an album. Like it just drags. The pacing is way off. And of course, the title track is amazing. Of course, Fuck the Police is amazing. That's the hard, heavy stuff. That's not really what the album is. There's a whole bunch of weird, boring, strange, keyboardy shit in here that's kind of doesn't hold up.
You know what's funny is like I do think Dr. Dre's an overrated producer.
Yeah. I mean the Chronics. I'm a big fan of the first two Chronics. But there was a lot of guests on those, and I think those are great albums.
He's always got a lot of guests.
I think he's better producer than he is a MC.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He rhymed creepin' with creepin' 2 other times.
Yeah, he kind of stinks. Honestly, he's not that great. But those albums are fucking awesome. Especially 2001. That was like my one of my earliest hip hop albums that actually like made me like, hey, maybe I do like this hip hop.
I think this is better than and I'm gonna get shit. I think this is better than the Chronic.
That is where we disagree.
Yeah.
I think Chronic is so much better than it, like by miles.
Damn.
100 Miles and Running, some would say.
Oh,
a shitty EP. That was the worst of all the records. This was obviously the best, but yeah. And it's also another thing that because it was, people don't really count the last 2 records because Ice Cube was gone. Was he gone on 100 Miles and Running?
Yes. Yeah. That's recorded. Was that recorded in? I think they got a few Ice Cube disses in on that song.
Is that where they started? That's when they were calling him a Benedict Arnold.
Yeah.
It's fucking dorks. yeah. Great MC, Dr. Dre. So yeah, obviously this is the best one, but it's like it's the impact that it had culturally. It was like the first album to be super, super brutal on the cops.
You had Axl Rose wearing like NWA thing, which like. You didn't really see like the rock and roll and rap world kind of.
Yeah, not until or not since Aerosmith and Run DMC and.
Well, yeah, that was kind of like a one-off.
Yeah. But you mean like culturally though?
Yes.
Yeah. So it has all this impact behind it. Not to mention, it's just the one album before the band implodes and Ice Cube leaves and they all hate each other. So there's this drama behind it. It's culturally significant. It has some fucking bangers on it. So it has all the ingredients to be like, whoa, one of the greatest albums ever. Until you listen to the album, it's not that great. This is purely based on the music. Like, I get why things have historical significance and why albums become legendary. But that is precisely why it's overrated. Because after all these years, the songs really don't hold up that much. That is how I came into this. I don't think it's a bad album. I just think it is overrated.
There you go.
The next one has to be the most underrated because we have to bring some love.
Yes. Although my understanding of YouTube algorithms, watch this wrestling channel, Wrestling with Regret, and he always tries to balance it out. If he comes out with a worse list, he comes out with the best of lists, and he's like, of course the worst list got way more views and that's all anyone wants to talk about, but like the best of is literally right there for you guys.
People like conflict, they like fighting, they love fighting on the internet. Why is it you guys like fighting so much? Are you that what's wrong, man? Not fighting is also good. So thank you so much for listening and watching and hanging out. And I'm sure you have plenty of thoughts. Go ahead and leave those down below and we'll get right back to you, especially if you use bad words. We love reading those and we love interacting with those people because those
usually get filtered out though, right?
Yeah, there's also my favorite commenters are the ones that have a lot to say. And you could tell from the first word that, oh, I'm just not going to read the rest of it. Like, oh, all right, you suck. I'm not going to, no, I'm good. I'm glad you took the time though, but I'm good. All right. So thanks so much for listening and watching. Talk shit if you want. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you want to hang out longer. And check out one of the many episodes of albums that we've covered. There's plenty and plenty more everywhere. No playlist for this episode because it's not a very positive one. No. Just check out the episodes if you want to do that. You can follow me on all social media at PanderMonkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
Be sure to check out our history guy Tom Osman at Tom Osman Sounds on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as his Substack, tomosman.substack.com, and his album, So Much for All in a Day's Work. And you can find links to all those in the description. My EP, which you're free to shit on as much as you like because we all have opinions and opinions are fine. They're useless across the board. Pounder Monkey, link to that in the description. And patreon.com/everyalbumever. There we got bonus episodes. Just support us. We need the support. All right. We're growing boys who are also happen to be grown men. Bonus episodes. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get discounts on off merch. You get to vote on polls, decide who we're covering next. You get to join our Discord, be a part of our community, and suggest episodes like this, the EAE singles episodes where we can talk about whatever the hell we want. We pick all of those out from Discord. And if you're tier 2, then you can suggest a full discography for us to cover in a big, giant, long numbered episode. So go there, do that. Thank you. All right. I guess no song.
No song. I guess we could just like play Send in the Clowns or something.
I will not do that. But we'll be back.
We could play the Stanford and Son theme song. Because what else are we gonna play?
I'm not putting the Stanford and Son. I'm putting my goddamn foot down.
All right.
But next week, we'll be back with a big, fat, long episode with a band that people probably actually want to hear.
Long overdue.
So thank you so much for listening and watching. See ya.